Welcome to the Empowered Money Girl, where we break down the barriers to financial confidence, celebrate women's wins, and reveal the secrets to living boldly and well. I'm your host, Josette Mandela. Today's guest is Shab Azma, founder and CEO of Art Collective, where media, education, culture, and human transformation come together to help experts, creators, and thought leaders turn their knowledge into scalable impact. With more than 25 years of experience building brands, launching businesses, and creating partnerships across entertainment, publishing, consumer products, and live experiences, Shab has worked alongside globally recognized talent, Fortune 500 brands, and mission-driven organizations. Her passion for education and storytelling continues to inspire meaningful change and expand human potential. If you're ready to discover how purpose, influence, and strategic partnerships can amplify your impact, you're going to love this conversation. Please welcome the visionary, influential, and inspiring Shab Azma.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. So, Shab, can you take us back to the beginning? What was the path like that got you to where you are today?
Well, it wasn't a straight path, Josette. It was definitely a path I like to call the arc. The arc of my journey is quite interesting. Growing up in a small town in New Jersey, I'd always just dreamed of being in entertainment, but I always thought I would be in front of the camera as talent. And I even took a stab at that when I moved to LA from New Jersey and I tried the acting thing and quickly realized that I wasn't willing to have my future being controlled by other people, and having people arbitrarily decide whether I was pretty enough, skinny enough, tall enough, tan enough, to play a role. And that was just too much control that I was giving away to somebody else. And so while I loved and I was quite good at acting, I was told that by my acting coach, I just didn't have the patience. And so I had graduated university in communications with an emphasis in radio, TV, film, knowing that I wanted to do something in entertainment regardless. And I had worked too hard those 4 years to just sort of be waiting around for someone else to dictate my future. So I had decided to work in the industry behind the scenes. And that started out in various departments within the studio space. I worked at Universal, and that's where I cut my teeth in home video, music, and consumer products is where I landed. And that's where I really started to understand the ability to create brands that were beyond, like that were evergreen and beyond things like a theatrical release. IP, really learning the way to learn and build intellectual property through films that then could expand into publishing and consumer products, which again, and which is where I had landed, and then theme park rides and soundtracks. And so I really started to understand every aspect of building a brand. Nothing I'd ever planned on doing, nothing I had interest in doing, but the universe led me there. And I'm so grateful now because everything that I've done since then, from leaving the studios, I went from building brands as a film property or a piece of literature to the people becoming brands. And having left the studios, I transitioned into talent management and now work with celebrity experts, which you can brand.
Wow, what a journey to start out in college, think I want to do something in the TV industry, and then realizing that no, that whole movie actress thing that takes too long, and it's somebody else is dictating who I am and what I'm supposed to do. Moving into the consumer products and then saying, ah, I feel like I found the answer.
Well, I can't say honestly that I felt like I found the answer, Josette, and I talk about this a lot because the truth is, when I walked into consumer products at Universal, I was a temp working within a union that only housed temps in entertainment sector of business. that was my third stint at Universal. The first was in music at MCA Records. The second was in home video. And the third was a temp as the assistant to the vice president of licensing. And when I walked into consumer products, Josette, I was like, oh, I'd never want to work here. This is so not me. I was in my early 20s. There was a bunch of toys because it was like Jurassic Park and Curious George and Rocky and Bullwinkle. And then we started doing the Grinch and all this stuff. But at the time, I was like an adult, like, and it felt like a toy store, which you would think would be cool. But for me, I barely played with toys when I was a kid. So I was like, nah, this isn't me. It felt just out of my world. And then who knew that I would get the call after I left that temp position? I was only there for 2 weeks while the VP's assistant was on vacation. And I got to know people. And one of the gentlemen that I met there, his name was David Stern. He said, what are you looking to do? I said, well, I love entertainment. And he was kind enough to connect me with a production company. And I was working after I left Universal for that 2 week stint. I worked at a production company as a PA, a production assistant. And I was still acting at the time. And I was going on auditions and and I was also working as a bank teller at Wells Fargo. I'd been working at Wells Fargo for 4 years through college. And this was 2 years post college. I was doing this temp work and still acting and now as a PA. And I got the call from the VP who I had temped for asking if I'd want to come and work for her because her assistant came back from vacation and quit. And she was like, I thought you were wonderful. And I was like, Josette, and I talk about this a lot. I remember that moment where I did want to be an actress and I knew that I was good at it. And I had even gotten pretty far for the very short period of time that I had been doing it. I had landed a show back then called Social Studies on UPN or whatever. I forget what channel it was on, but I I remember thinking, and this is what I talk about a lot. I took a job that I didn't want to take initially when I walked in that office and I'm like, oh, I don't want to work here. I took it because it was a salaried position at Universal Studios. There was security built into it. There was some sense of safety built into it. And I accepted the job after I negotiated my rate a little bit, my salary, because I had a 6 year proven sales track record working at Wells Fargo Bank. And so I used that and I leveraged that and negotiated a little bit of a higher salary, but still in today's day, you're like, wow, that was such a low salary. But for that time in my life, it was wonderful because I was working basically three jobs. I was Wells Fargo teller or bank. I was like an officer at the time. I was a PA and I was still trying to be an actress. So to have it all consolidated to one job that was a salaried position at Universal was like awesome. But I talk about that and I think about that a lot because I sort of also feel like I sold myself out because I knew when I walked in there that I didn't want to work at Universal. And I got to meet people and it was lovely and it ended up being fine. But I think about that a lot because I was told many years later, I was never by a psychic. I was never meant to do what I've done for a living. And I've been fine and I've done it, I've done well, but I did kind of give up on my dreams in some ways. And I took a job that I didn't want for security and safety and for the universal and the salary. And I made a great career out of it. But I know that that's not what I was meant to do. And thank God I've been able to take it and run with it and build from it. But at this age of my life right now, I've been really dedicated and focused on really connecting with what I truly do want to do and not just what I became really good at doing.
And that is so amazing when you can actually look at a step that you've taken and saying, I did this for safety and security, but you know, and I'm good at it, but it's
Yeah.
not really what I want to do. And maybe now's the time, now that I've kind of got things in order, to kind of branch back to and really look at what is it that I want to be doing
Yeah.
and make that move.
Yeah. I'm really passionate about, and I've been asked to speak about this, and I'm really passionate about sharing my story with young people who are maybe that are graduating college or maybe even going into college, but especially graduating college or in their early career, where I think it's so it's so important to try to really align with what it is that you desire to do. And that does take practice. I do meditate. I think if I had had this tool when I was younger, it would have been incredible. I think centering and sitting with yourself and listening to your intuition is so important. My intuition when I walked into consumer products was, I don't want to work here. And it wasn't because it was bad. And
Mhm.
listen, sometimes we judge things, right? And it's important for us to walk through our judgment and lean in. And it was, but this was just more of no, this is not what I want to do, but I did it anyway. And that's the thing. And again, thank God I've had a wonderful career. But when I look back, it's like, no, I never really cared about licensing and merchandising. I really don't. I've made a career out of it and I've made a lot of people money. And I'm good at it, but doesn't mean that's what I'm meant to be doing.
So, what do you think you are meant to be doing?
For me, what I've gotten really clear on is that I am here to disrupt some broken systems through what I have built in entertainment. And so for me, those broken systems are education and healthcare. Um, I believe that in order for us to heal this planet and shine a light in what can feel like a kind of a dark cloud right now over our planet is to educate people, entertain people, and have people have experiences that are impactful. And so, again, I say the three ways to heal this planet is through education, entertainment, and experience. And I am bringing together a lot of embodied and enlightened experts in all areas of industries, whether it's the healthcare industry, whether it's education, whether it's finance, whether it's therapy and mental health. I'm bringing awakened experts that are, a lot of them are on television. I'm curating them and I'm creating a platform for people to have access to them through their content, through their courses, through their live events, through their books, through their products, so that we all are getting the kind of support we need to navigate every dimension of life that we might be struggling with. And that's my commitment. That is my mission. I'm very clear that I'm here to help heal this planet. And the way that I can do that is through my years of experience in entertainment, education, and lived experience and experiences. And so I'm here to take all of that knowing and the arc of my journey and to bring that to the world in the way that I know how to do it.
So, is that then an expansion of what you're doing at Art Collective?
Yes. So I call it, so 2026 has been, there's three themes in 2026, I think for a lot of us, but especially for me. It's the year of discernment. It's the year of full circle moments and it's the year of graduation. And for me, I have graduated from the world that I had created and had built, from graduating from that I've been good at doing to what I truly desire and know that I'm called to do. And so that is the expansion of my company to be not just a talent management company, which is what it's been known for. We represent celebrity experts. It's now expanding that to a much larger ecosystem and a much larger vision that in essence actually mirrors the studios I first started at, like Universal. It's a modern studio model that is dedicated to healing and human evolution at scale.
So, in a way, it almost seems like you had to have that universal experience so that you can get to this point now where like you say, it's a full circle.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's why I have zero regret. Zero. I've learned that there's no mistakes, it's only lessons in life. And when we can glean from those lessons and we can come from a place of an informed understanding of why we made the decisions, then there's no mistakes. I don't believe in any mistakes. I think everything is a lesson. And for me, I'm so grateful that I can now see the arc of my journey in this full circle moment where I'm basically building a modern studio model and its mission is human evolution and healing at scale. So So yes, I'm so grateful. I'm universal. And just think of that name, universal. You
Mhm.
know, this is about the universe. This is about expansion. This is about human evolution. This is about healing the planet. So it's very kind of ironic. There's a lot of pattern recognition that I've been doing, and I can see all the patterns in my journey and how everything was leading to this moment.
And because you kind of at one point thought that you would be an actress, which obviously is in front of the camera position, and you ended up behind the scenes managing lots of people. Were there things about you that you had to set aside in order to be able to make them be them?
I mean, yeah, you know, it's interesting. I mean, listen, I'm on a camera right now with you. I'm being interviewed. So I do also feel like it's full circle, right?
Yep.
I've been doing a lot of podcasts lately, and in the beginning, I was having a bit of imposter syndrome because it didn't feel right for me to be the one in front of the camera when I've been guiding the careers of celebrities and TV talent for the last 15 plus years alone, just on the management side of things. And so it was almost becoming, it felt very foreign to me. But I also see how I am integrating that part of myself when I'm being asked to speak on stages and on podcasts. And it's something that I'm easing back into. And I'm really grateful for it because I think that there is a performer in me. And I think it's the performer in me that really was always why I was able to protect my talent because I appreciated their talent so much because I had worked with some of the biggest actors, some of the biggest musicians, and then now some of the biggest celebrity experts on TV. And it's because I was talent. You know, I am talent. We're all talented, but I think that that made me a better talent manager because I had such an appreciation for their craft and their expertise.
I love that. And a little earlier, we had talked about how you had negotiated your salary and took into account all the things that I learned in this other job that make me perfect for this job. And here's why I do. You have those kind of conversations with the talent that you work with to say this is why you should offer this product or service, whatever they're doing, for this price rather than another price?
Yes, I mean, I am a fierce negotiator. I think that's why I happen to also work at Wells Fargo Bank for 6 years. It's just working with numbers and money. And I look at that arc too, and I'm like, it all fed into what I was doing because I feel like I'm a very good negotiator and I call myself the Velvet Hammer. You know, I'm not brute force, but I do have my soft way of negotiating with my vendors, studios, networks, production companies, brands that I work with who are bringing on my clients uh, to work with. And so I'm the one that's negotiating the deals. My clients aren't. So they trust me. They know that I'm going to advocate for them. They know that I'm going to get them the best deal possible with kindness though. You know, there doesn't need to be that level of there's a lot of us out there, a lot of agent types that we have to kind of strong arm a lot of times, and it's that balance. But I do feel like I have a great ability to negotiate for my clients because I truly understand the value that they bring to the project.
Now, you've helped a lot of people become more visible. What was it like when you said at one point you felt kind of like you were in imposter syndrome, but then you had to step into being more visible in order to grow this business. And
Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, again, I didn't plan for it. It really started when a couple of years ago, a few years ago in our industry, we had the WGA SAG strike, which was actors and writers protesting or advocating for reform in the union. And I was really one of the very few managers that felt compelled to speak out on behalf of my talent. And interestingly enough, at the time, I had started my company ARC 5 years ago. So this was about within the first year, I want to say, maybe two of me having started my company. And I hadn't thought about doing PR for my company. I had started to think about it, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know because I didn't do it right when I started ARC. I believe it was like someone had reached out to me from PR who was a dear friend of mine, and he offered his services to in exchange for some mentorship because he was starting his own agency. And I was like, sure, if you want to help me get some PR on my company, that'd be amazing. And we were trying to figure out the angle, the story angle, right? And then at the same time, Josette, this strike was happening. And I remember there was this moment where I was like, this is the moment. I want to speak out. And it wasn't because I thought I was going to get PR. I just knew that I wanted to go on record and I wanted to speak about the inequities that were going on within our industry. And I remember my publicist said, listen, I love that you want to go out there and speak about this, but you might get blacklisted from the industry. And I was like, then let me get blacklisted. They can't blacklist my talent. I'm willing to have people question, or put me on a blacklist because I know this is true. And so, of course, I went on record and I spoke my truth. And that is what got my company a bunch of press in the best way. I mean, I was having really candid conversations with some of the biggest publications like Variety and Emmy and Deadline and all these things. And I was like, it wasn't planned. It wasn't divisive. It wasn't manipulative. It truly was. I felt compelled to speak, and I could not have anticipated or planned that it would have gotten the pickup that I had gotten. And I still stand by everything that I had said. And I'm actually really proud of the fact that my company and I, because I had to get the buy-off from my team because I knew that this could potentially impact revenue if people didn't want to do business with us. But they were all like, absolutely, like, this is what we are. We're advocates for our talent. And this is the best way for us to advocate for our talent is to speak up and speak out. And so then, the next thing I knew, I was being interviewed by some of the largest publications. And that was really incredible. It didn't feel like I wasn't trying to get the like spotlight. It just kind of happened. And then I rode the wave. And then it just led to more podcasts and stuff. So then when that was starting to happen, when I was now being asked to be on camera and then speak on stages, that's where I remember one of my first stages I spoke on with next to two of my clients on the same stage. That was really weird because usually I'm the one orchestrating and organizing for them to be on stages. And here I was being asked to be on the same stage with them. And they were so supportive and so wonderful. And that really it made me feel like, you know what, we're all the same. You take titles and the descriptors out on our identities, you don't, if you take that out of the conversation, we're all human beings and we all deserve the stage. We all deserve to speak our truth. We all deserve to share the wisdom that we've gleaned for others so that they can learn from that. And so what does it matter if you've been on camera or not on camera, And so I had to really embrace that and accept it and feel good about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And being willing to take that leap of faith that saying your truth isn't going to and expecting that even if they do blacklist you personally, that you could still work with the industry and get your talent the positions that they're looking for. That was definitely a leap of faith that was
Yeah.
all going to work out.
Yeah. It was. You know what? I am a natural born advocate. I was always this way since I was a kid, whether it was advocating for friends of mine that were being mistreated, um, or myself for that matter in relationships. Or for people like my family comes from Iran. So, when the protests were happening in Iran 17 years ago, I felt so helpless. And I was also, the one thing you don't know, I was also a singer in my 20s as well. And so I still did that, even though I stopped acting. I found my voice literally, quite literally, after I stopped acting. I found my voice. And I was performing at nights with my cousin in a band. That was my way of still being a performer while being a professional in the industry. And I had felt so helpless when I watched this video of a young woman being shot in a protest in Iran 17 years ago. And every part of me wanted to get on a plane and go to Iran, where my parents were from. I was born in the United States, but both my parents were born there. And so I had visited Iran and I have felt such a love and reverence for that country. And it just broke my heart. And I ended up recording a song. I wrote a song, the quickest song I've ever written, because I felt so charged. And the only thing I could do versus getting on an airplane and potentially risking my life was to write a song. And I wrote a song and I got it to my band at the time and we put a music video out and it went viral. This was 17 years ago when YouTube was just kind of a place that people would put some cat videos on. And at the time for me, that it went viral. And I think that I just know that I share this as an example because I've always been an advocate. And I have always felt compelled in my body. It's a somatic experience that happens to me where my body just can't contain the level of rage or, the feeling that something needs to be done. And so that's what I've carried in my body as a manager, as a producer, because I've also produced television, as a musician, as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter, all the things. It's just sort of in my DNA. So there was no choice for me to speak out loud during the strike. It was just the advocate in me. And I'm always going to be that.
So, what would you say to the woman that comes to you thinking maybe I want to do something, but I'm not sure what it is? I've got this body of knowledge. How would you get her to decide, yeah, you've got something, or no, now's not the right time for you?
Yeah. So I do what's called North Star sessions. I have a lot of people that come to me that are either talent that are not sure what to do with getting their career going, or women that are women and men that have had success and are in a stage of their life where that has been their entire identity, like what we were talking about and what led me to start my company ARC 5 years ago. I work with them to get really, really, really clear on their North Star and their why, because you need to know their why before we go to the what. So when we get really, really clear on their why, then we can figure out the steps to get to their what. And because I have been in this business for 25 plus years, I'm a super connector. And I can help with pattern recognition and decoding of your mission in this life. And then I put all those pieces together and I'm a narrative architect and I can architect it out and I can help connect the dots and support and guide you. And that's what I've done. I've guided the careers of, again, highly influential people, but I really want to be able to get that expertise to anyone that feels confused, lost, not sure what to do. That's why I'm so passionate about getting to the youth and helping them and guiding them to really listen to their intuition. Because the truth is, we all know when we're very young. I believe that we're born with a knowing and we forget, we have amnesia when we're born of why we're here. And it's just about remembering. And when we do the pattern recognition and the looking at the glimmers that we experienced in our childhood and then not up until whenever it is that I'm speaking to that person, we can literally decode and do some pattern recognition. And then the answers all lie within you. And I'm just here to kind of mirror that and guide you and support you in that understanding.
I like that so much, where you're just here to guide and
Yeah,
not to actually create. Let them bring forth what it is they're supposed to bring forth.
that's right. That's right.
So, do you believe money should always have, I'm sorry, do you believe women should always have money of their own? Why or why not?
I believe that we should be in control of our own abundance. I think we're the only ones as humans. I don't think it belongs and it's anyone else's responsibility. I believe that we are the only ones responsible for our happiness and for what we call in. And so I believe when you have clarity on who you are, what you're here to do, and then you pursue that, The abundance will come, and it is not anyone else's responsibility to make that happen. I will say this, Josette, because I have had talent come to me to say, I haven't had any deals. Why are there any brand deals coming? And then I said, I don't know. You tell me. You tell me why the brand deals aren't coming. I'm not God. I'm not source. I'm not a tree that money's made from. I'm here to manage and guide you. And that's why the manager, which again, graduating from, because even when you think of what a manager is here to manage your business. And yes, oftentimes I'm able to pitch my clients and create opportunities for them. But in order for them to get the job, they have to be doing their work for a producer or a brand to want to pick them. No matter how hard I sell my heart out, I could love Josette and pitch her hard, but if Josette isn't doing her part, then I can't be responsible for that. It's a co-creation. It's a collaboration. That's why I don't even like the name manager, because to me, it's managers historically are just glorified babysitters, right? It's truly. And so that's why I said recently to a client of mine, I said, do you need a mom? She goes, no. I go, do you need a dad? She goes, no. I said, great. Then we're partners. We're co-creators. That's why our website says we're co-conspirators. We're collaborators. We together, if we lock in and we're into what it is that you are here to do, together we lock in on that truth, the abundance will come because I'm a super connector and you're the talent and you're the expert and you are responsible for keeping up with your social media, making sure that your image is right, making sure that you are operating from a pure place, that you're out in the world shining your light. And when you do that, that's what will be returned to you. And I'm here to help negotiate and guide and counsel you, but I am not God. I cannot create these things from nowhere. And so I say that because yes, we are all responsible ourselves for ourselves. So yes, I do believe women should have their own money. I don't think they should be relying on a man for money. I think they should be in control of themselves. And the truth is, control is an illusion. Nobody can control anything that's coming from a fear mindset. It's just, I had this thing, Josette, that's been happening. We want to be light as feathers. I'm seeing feathers everywhere. And then the word feather light. I mean, there's just been, for me, this last week has been the theme. And I know that it's because I've been so hard at work, making sure that I am light as a feather. So that means we want to release expectation, demand, control, coming from scarcity mindset, coming from ego. And when we clear that vessel, which is us, then only abundance and light comes in. And so the only thing we can be responsible for is ourselves, and to be the clearest vessel possible, vibrating from a very high frequency. And then it's just energy matching energy.
Wow. I love that. And what a clear message that if you're not doing your part, it doesn't matter how much I do. Like you say, I'm not God.
Yeah. One of my clients, Josette, she is the best example of this. Her Instagram isn't massive. It hasn't even broke 100,000. She's an incredible woman. She's a chef. She is such a beacon of light. She spreads joy, and she is just magnetizing opportunity left and right. I mean, she has a book offer from one of the largest book publishers that came to her. And usually we are the ones putting a book proposal together with the talent. And then we blast it out to all the publishers, praying, hoping that 1, 2, 3 of them may bite. And then it's a bit of a negotiation. One of the largest book publishers came to her. They happened to be sitting next to each other at an event, start talking, fell in love with one another. And then this editor went back to her team and pitched her heart out. And then she just literally got an offer. And we didn't have to do a dang thing, Josette. And that's the truth. And this is a woman also, by the way, who has had an opportunity to be on a very big food cable channel. I'm not going to say the name. And to compete on food shows. And she keeps saying no. When I have other clients that are clamoring to be on that same network, competing, she's like, I don't cook that way. I don't need to compete. She runs a very successful restaurant. in New York, and she just knows her truth. It's not even ego. She's like, no, I don't need, and they keep coming back. They keep coming back for her. And she's like, I just don't cook that way. And I don't care to be on TV that badly to want to do that, subject myself to it. She goes, I don't cook fast. It's not how I cook. And I say that because that is the kind of clarity, confidence. It's not ego. It's not ego at all. She's just like, no, I don't feel called to do it. And then it's her showing the universe, I know my truth. I know who I am. I'm rooted and grounded in who I am. And then the abundance just keeps coming. It just keeps coming because she's not coming from a place of need or scarcity mindset. And again, it's just her just knowing her truth.
Yeah, and that's so true, is that when, like you say, when you're in your truth and doing what you love, that I mean the aphorism is true, that you do what you love, the money will follow.
That's right.
But there's so many people that read that wrong and think that they have to chase the money. No. You have to be true to yourself first. And like you say, there's people screaming, no, I want to be on that TV show. And she's like, no, that's not
No,
me. And
no.
really understanding what she is to be able
Yeah,
to say no, and yet opportunity's still coming despite her saying no,
that's
because that
right.
no is in alignment.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. Because on conversely, I have another client who gets really hurt when she's not being asked to be on those competition shows, and she's been on quite a few. And then she gets really kind of, yeah, really affected when they're not asking her to come back and do another one. And it's, meanwhile, I have this other one that's like, I don't want to do it. And it's like, I'm not judging either way, by the way. Like, there
Mm-hmm.
are those that genuinely enjoy being on competition shows. This other client of mine, it's not that. There's a wound with her. And that's for her to work through. And I guide her and I hold her hand and we talk through it. And she's very clear. And that's the other thing, too. It's like, as long as you're clear on your why, there's no judgment. As long as you're clear on it and you go, yeah, you know what? It's because I am worried that I'm not going to get any screen time. So I'm going to take what comes. That's great. As long as you're clear on that and you know your why,
Yep.
everything, everyone's got their own reasons, and I'm not here to judge any of it. And that's the other thing I've had to learn, honestly, Josette, is that, we can't judge other people when there's no reason for it. My job as a manager is just to help talk through it and have a conversation. I'm never going to tell my client what to do, not to do. That's not my job. But I reflect back to them and we talk through it and then we make a decision. I'm here to support their decision, but at the end of the day, it is their decision. But yeah, I think that a lot of us unfortunately make decisions from places like fear and ego. And I've learned to really get clear on that and to really listen to the intuition, which is hard. It's hard to discern the difference between intuition and the mind. And I've had to really practice the difference and understand the distinction between the two.
Mm. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and a huge thank you to Shab Azma for sharing her story and reminding us that you need to really understand your why to live your best life. Be clear that you're not coming from fear, but instead that deep inside place where those answers really come from. Be true to yourself. If you found value in this conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share the Empowered Money Girl with your friends. The more we spread these stories, the more women we can empower to live boldly, both financially and in every part of life. Until next time, keep thriving, and remember, your journey to empowerment starts with you.